stuck. I'm stuck.
Hello everybody and welcome to a totally unplanned episode of Vernon SnowMX. We had such a crazy day yesterday. We have some things we just have to share. So we fried out a clutch and had to tow a Snowbike.
At the end of the day, we also had another dead bike that we had to boost in the bush, and we had a bit of trouble with that.
And we found that our InReach had accidentally gone off and summoned search and rescue. They were well on their way by the time we found out. So we've got all kinds of stuff to share. First, let's watch a random clip. All right, so adventure number one. This is the frying of the clutch. Visibility was really bad yesterday, and I inadvertently went over a plowed embankment onto hard-packed snow. The bike was kind of upside down. I couldn't ride it myself. I couldn't dig it out because it was ice.
Cement. Yeah.
You guys came along, we popped it back up, and everything looked fine, except...
We think there was some oil that had escaped. There wasn't a whole lot, but there was definitely some evidence on the snow, we'll call it. Not enough to really feel concerned about it.
No, and we just kept riding, and we did have a really good ride. There was lots of snow. Mm-hmm. We had piles of fun, but then I started to notice a bit of a smell, and within minutes, the clutch wasn't working properly, and that's when we decided it was time to head out. But even as I started to head out, the clutch became totally inoperable, and it became time to tow a Snowbike. Let's watch the clip.
Well, we were going to film a segment today about towing a Snowbike, but we haven't got around to it yet, and now we actually need to tow a Snowbike. I think what's happened to Helga here, the timber sled, is the clutch is fried out. There's an interesting smell. It won't start going, so we're going to hook up the bike and give her a little pull. We'll show you how we do it. Here's the tow strap that we use. It's just flat webbing that we would normally tie down like a kayak or canoe to a truck roof or something like that with. It works really well, and we're going to be putting it around the frame, not around the forks. We're going to put it around the frame. The first time we towed a Snowbike, we put it around the forks, and it was crash-zilla. We could not steer the bike at all. So Andrew's adding a little bit of fuel to Anna because she's going to be working extra hard as she pulls Helga back to safety. We're not in the best of areas. We're going to have to work pretty hard to get out of here. Yay. As it happens, we have a waypoint for exactly where we want to go. Down here, Taylor Cut Block meeting point. It's 770 meters away. Tell my Garmin, make it go. So it's that way. All right, game on. Be gentle.
Track forbidden and cut right, or what do you think?
You're driving.
All right, so as you saw in the video, we started towing out Helga with Anna. And how'd that go?
Anna's not exactly what you call a tractor. 129 SS from Yeti, great track, but not good for towing another bike. It just kept trenching. So we brought in Twink, Warren's bike. It's an FC350 with last year's timber sled long track. Nice big footprint, and it definitely helped with the traction side of things. But it didn't fix everything, did it?
No, it didn't. Now, towing a Snowbike is difficult at the best of times, and we had piles of snow.
Gobs.
We were wiping out every 10, 15 feet. A good run would have been 20 feet. We were getting exhausted, and we had, what did I say, 700 and some meters to go just to get to the Taylor Cut Block where we do the Snowbike gathering stuff. Anyways, we did decide to just give the bike one more try. Maybe the clutch had cooled down, maybe it would work, and it did, just enough for me to go out on the track that we had built. And that's where we parted. So I was to meet you down at the truck, and you were off to go find
Warren.
Go find Warren. Insert random clip. Okay, Andrew, let's get started with your portion of the adventure, which is going to find Warren.
Okay. Well, before we get started, it is important to note that Warren is relatively new. This is year 2 for him on a snow bike. And we threw him on a Yeti 129 SS yesterday in really deep snow with the goal of packing a track in for us. So maybe not the nicest thing for us to do.
It's a really skinny track compared to everything,
skinny.
Especially what he's used to riding, which is that timber sled long track from last year, which is for full width. So
that's right.
It's different.
Yeah, so he was saddled with his own set of challenges yesterday for sure. By the time I found him, now we did have radio communication throughout the 45 or so minutes that I was waiting to meet up with him. He was stuck. He told me not to worry and just to wait where I was. And eventually I ended up going to find him. And when I did find him, I found that the bike, the battery was done. It was cooked. It was dead. No big deal. We pack all kinds of gear with us to the backcountry, don't we?
That's right.
And we pack one of these guys, a little micro start. These will supposedly start a V8 pickup. So not a big deal for starting a bike. It was charged the night before. It still has a charge right now in this pack. But when I pulled the seat off to boost Anna with this, it didn't work. There's a flaw with this device, and it just would not work for us. Fortunately, Warren packs a microstart as well, and with Warren's we were able to get it going. We couldn't get it going off the battery as you would traditionally, but at the start of this year, Chad Edwards from Interspace Water Sports, who's a bit of a snowbike guru around these parts, he showed us a pretty cool trick, and it's to ground to the engine and then pull the cover off the starter and hit that nut on the end of the starter, and it'll boost the bike, and it worked like a charm. So
in our case, you had to pull off the engine blanket first.
That's right.
But that wasn't a huge job. You just broke a couple of zap straps.
Right. Yeah, just crack a couple of zap straps.
So it's important to know at least where that starter is and what it looks like.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
Have a look, guys. It's not recommended by the manufacturer, but in a pinch, it sure was nice to know yesterday, and definitely give a shout out to Chad from Interspace. Thank you for showing us that tip.
Great. So you guys did manage to work your way out.
Yep.
And as it happens, I ran into you guys as I was coming back to rescue you. Let's do another little random shot of us riding, not from yesterday because visibility was terrible, and then we'll get back to my portion of the adventure.
Stay tuned.
All right, it's now time for my part of the adventure. So, Andrew, I'm limping this bike down to the truck. It's about 5 kilometers down the road. It's barely wanting to move. I've got it in 3rd and 4th gear. I'm lugging it so the clutch will just drag enough to keep me moving forward. And I make it to about 1 kilometer away from the truck, and it will not move. So I'm stopping. Not sure what I'm going to do. Should I just walk the rest of the way to the truck? Should I stay there? Don't know. And then I start hearing some beeping noises. Unfamiliar beeping noises. I don't really have anything turned on, so I start tearing apart my gear, and I went into the giant loop bag on the side where I keep my clown car, which is a little pot filled with safety supplies.
Yeah.
My flares, which I thought would be a good thing to have if we're stranded at night somewhere and we need to signal in that, hey, we're over here.
Or if we want to shoot them at Warren.
And my InReach. My InReach is making beeping noises. And picture this, I pick it up, I look at it, and it says SOS in progress. Ooh. And I feel sick because I did not initiate the SOS. This was not even turned on. And we have some anecdotal evidence for that. Anyways, this is the way that things were situated in my giant loop bag. So I have the clown car down the bottom. I have the flare kit like this. And I thought, well, I'll keep the screen protected from anything that might go bash against it. And I put it in like that. So in order to turn on an InReach, it's actually a number of processes you have to do. You have to hold down the power button. You have to slide it over to say power on. But then to signal an SOS, it takes even more work. You have to slide this lever, which is quite stiff, so that the red shows. And then you have to push down this button. And that's when it starts talking to the satellites. Texas phones the RCMP. RCMP phones your wife. RCMP phones search and rescue. A bunch of people from search and rescue start to ask questions, try to figure out where you are, and they start to mobilize.
Basically, all hell breaks loose.
So here I am standing on the trail, trying to figure out how to deactivate the SOS. There's no button for that. And when an SOS is enabled, you can't power this down and just hope that that's going to do it. So I went to the help, and it's, of course, the very last thing in the help, and I managed to turn it off or cancel the SOS and send a text message. There's a different story associated with that we won't go into, a bit of a tangent. But, and then I kind of went back to, okay, I think everything's fine. I don't know when this went off. We later found out it went off 2.5 hours earlier. So as it happened, search and rescue were well on their way. But anyways, I was worried about my buddies. So I went down to the truck. I did manage to get the bike going again. The clutch would just function enough. Got the bike in the trailer, detached the trailer. We got the chains in the truck. I'm going to drive on up to where those guys are and see if I can figure out what's happening to them.
What a day.
Met you guys on the road. No problem. Let's load the bikes. Let's get out of here. We're driving down the road in the truck, and our radio goes off. So we have a nice Kenwood haul road radio, and somebody's looking for me. And so we
Scott Chisholm.
Scott Chisholm, do you copy? As it turns out, it was search and rescue, and they were well on their way. They were just starting to head up the mountain, and we had some very apologetic chats and thankful chats with those guys. So it's super cool that all that stuff works, and that the people come out and they will come and look for you. But of course, we feel awful that our device and our packing method malfunctioned and took people away from their families, and that's quite a bummer. So what we've learned from this is we're still bringing this, of course, but it's not going to go in with other hard things where it could get activated. In fact, I think I'm going to have to find a pocket on my body where it's just going to live, where there's nothing in there that could trigger it.
That's a wrap on that.
What are you going to do? Thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. We didn't figure out how to end this clip. That's why we're just sitting here staring at the screen.
Bah.
Insert random snowbike clip.
Okay, folks, for this next segment, we're going to talk to one of our Vernon SnowMX ground crew and my wife, Lindsay Thompson. Linz was able to work with search and rescue when the whole SOS situation occurred yesterday. Give us a bit of a rundown.
So I was chatting with Search and Rescue. I was able to tell Search and Rescue where the crew stages from, their general riding area. I was able to produce pictures to Search and Rescue of what the guys look like in their gear. And I was also able to share Andrew's InReach login credentials. So Search and Rescue was then able to sign in and see all of the points that Andrew had been pinging. So
great point too, folks, and that brings up the idea of redundancy of gear, and that's how we roll anyway. Scott had his InReach. It was off because I had mine and it was on, and we knew that it was tracking and that Lindsay was tracking us. So Scott's was there as a safety net for us if we needed it, and that's really how we operate with most of this gear. We talked about the microstart earlier, and one failing, we had another one there. It comes down to making sure that you're not relying on one piece of electronics that could potentially fail.
Hello, folks. I'm back in the chair and just want to have a chat with you about one more thing that I was thinking about. So while you and Warren were up on the mountain and they were taking too long, I was contemplating, so what am I going to do when I get my truck up there? And am I going to start walking in and looking for you? We know it's about 700 meters in where we were last seen together, and the snow's too deep. It just wouldn't happen. Yeah. So a new piece of gear, well, we have this around the house. We have like 5 sets of these between us. These are staying in the trailer. So if we have to get out, even like just think of if a bike breaks down and I need to walk out somehow or be doubled out, which would be really difficult. You could just go to the trailer, grab these, throw them on your back, bring them back, and then I could walk out.
Easy.
New essential piece of gear. We can find a spot in the trailer or the truck. Yep. They're coming out from now on. So that's a wrap for this episode. Thanks so much, especially to Search and Rescue. Thank you, and our apologies for this little incident. We hope that others can learn and benefit from our experience.
Yes, thanks again, folks, and we will be moving the position of the spare InReach going forward.
Stay tuned. Our next episode, we'll be back on track doing our normal things. We'll be back into Timbersled versus Yeti.
All right.